Best.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Starbucs with your host, Anthony DiNardo and Jim Rosati. I, of course, am Anthony DiNardo. What's up, Jim?
What's going on? Good morning. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. We are officially 7 more days till opening day. How about them apples?
That's pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet.
Been waiting for that for a while now.
I know, right? Like, I just feel the crazy the crazy season we had last year was all shortened, right? Then the off season felt like it took forever because the Pirates don't do anything, right? They made the Josh Bell trade on Thanksgiving. Wait, Christmas Eve. That's right. Not even Thanksgiving.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like finally spring was here. Finally baseball was here. And now we're just a week from the regular season. The Cubs at 2:20 p.m. I can't wait.
No, it is finally coming upon us. I guess next week when we do this, it'll be the day before. It'll be opening day eve.
I know, right? Like we'll have probably a very, very, I don't even know. I mean, the way Charrington and Shelton work, we're not really sure. I mean, this is like the first actual real season they've had. So I'm not even sure if we're going to really know when we're talking next week who's actually officially made the club or not. But I think we have a really, really good speculation of who. We might even talk about a little bit today who we think will be making the club and such. But yeah, so there's that. So I'm excited about that. I'm also excited that my new Mac should be here tomorrow. And if not, I'm revolting against Apple.
Yeah, you ordered that, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, unfortunately, and this is the earliest it could get here. So I should have ordered it 4 weeks ago if I knew that.
Man, that's crazy.
I know, right? But regardless, that's just my personal wins that I'm happy for. Not that anyone else is listening cares.
Yeah, no one cares you got a new computer. Although maybe it'll help with the timing of starting these on time.
I heard it will. Yes. By me having the new Mac, I heard that we will start on time now.
All right.
That's
where it affects everybody.
No more text where I'm like, hey, Jim, I just need a few more minutes. And you're like, yeah, me too. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess since we're starting off late too, we probably should get into it a little bit here.
Yeah.
So as mentioned, obviously we're a week away, which means we've had a solid 3 weeks of spring training where, most players have getting some decent play time here, decent evaluation. I figure we can get into a little bit of, we know who's standing out. Obviously, the middle infield is standing out, which is crazy to think about. I felt it would be the opposite. We'd talk about the corners right now. But still, Kevin Newman, Adam Frazier, I think they're like number 2 and 3 in spring training as far as like OPS.
I don't really understand how someone could be much higher. I mean, Kevin Newman's batting 700. Insane.
How messed up is that?
14 for 20. He's 14 for 20. I mean, that's a pretty crazy stretch right there.
Right. And still to this day, not a strikeout. I mean, we've talked about the bat-to-ball skills with Kevin Newman, right? The contact he makes. He's certainly been making contact. He's not striking out. 5 walks as well. So again, I guess to talk a little more about Kevin Newman, Right. And I just want to emphasize this. We keep talking, we keep hearing, it's spring, it's spring, it's spring. And I get that. Like, I'm on board with that too. Like, you shouldn't look too deep into a lot of the spring numbers, right? Like, when someone's batting 700, you don't just say, well, this guy is going to be MVP, breakout season coming. I mean, yeah, you say it in jest and have fun with it, maybe like Polanco. But like with Kevin Newman, him batting 700, I don't think it's like you just guarantee an ultimate that you look at this and say, well, Kevin Newman's going to have a great year. He's hitting 700. Because also on top of that too, like if you've seen a lot of his hits, they've been hit hard, I guess, to Kevin Newman's degree. But a lot of them are like, grounders up the middle where like it could have been caught in the regular season, So like not every hit has looked like amazing for Kevin Newman, but he is batting 700, not a strikeout. The thing that I've always talked about though is, like with spring training numbers, I know numbers don't truly matter. Pitchers are throwing, fastball after fastball after fastball sometimes just to work on things, or curveball after curveball just to work on things. But the thing about Kevin Newman, which I always say and get back to, is when there's a fundamental change, that's what I'm intrigued about stuff. You were one of the first to point it out, his first at bat, and it's kind of been the talk around spring, Kevin Newman changing his stance, his hands are lower, everything. And with this fundamental change, now we're seeing Kevin Newman bat 700. To me, sure, he might not be the batting champion, but I am more of a believer in Kevin Newman's skill set going into this year because of that change that, he might have a very solid season. And there it comes from. For the people listening to just the podcast, and you can hear the hesitancy in Jim's face, you could also see it on the stream.
It's again, it's one of those things where you would rather see him do this than the opposite, right? I still don't know. Like, my opinion hasn't changed much on Kevin Newman, the player, over 8 spring training games. It's seven really good games, obviously. I like the fact that he's not striking out. I like the fact that he's drawing walks. So those are all good things. I don't know if any of this actually translates. I do agree with you that like anytime there's actually a change, that is intriguing. But this is just it's just too small of a sample size to get like super worked up about it. So I don't know. I'll be a little more interested to see where we're at like a month into the regular season, somewhere like that. But I'm definitely he's definitely piqued my interest a little bit. So I'll say that. He's got me watching. That's for sure.
Okay, that's fair. And you know what? I'm just because I feel like maybe we're looking at the same spring training stats. I think these are actually as of yesterday. So there should be 3 more hits. I believe he's actually 17 for 24 now. The only reason I'm saying that is because we're going to get to Ad Frazier. Ad Frazier has 0 home runs listed here. So I don't think this has updated yesterday's numbers yet. But anyways, still, like it doesn't change. We're not talking one game now. You're a believer. Yeah. But I'm with you. Like I don't feel because of these, we'll say 9 games now, right? 8 really good games, that Kevin Newman is going to be the batting champ this year. Like I understand that, but that has been a skill set of his. Last year was terrible. This year he's changed some things, and so far we're seeing success with it. That I am encouraged. Like you said, I'm with you too. Like if he goes into this year and he ends up batting 250, I wouldn't be completely shocked. I'd be disappointed, but not shocked. But like seeing this fundamental change and seeing what the results are right now, albeit in spring, I am encouraged going to this season that maybe he has found success. Maybe he's gotten back to where he needs to be and such. Also, Jim, let's be real. All he has to do is he could drop 400 points on that batting average, and he's batting 300 still. Think about
that's
that.
True.
I'm just joking here. But yeah, Kevin Newman is just seeing this looks like a beach ball to him. And then we'll go to Adam Frazier, who came into camp late because, well, not camp, but started games late because of injuries. Also hitting the crap out of the ball. So yeah, I guess I can't go on the actual average. Let's pull up another thing here. But he was batting 556. Think about Adam Frazier. Like, not only was he doing the same thing as far as making contact, just one strikeout so far, but Adam Frazier's dripping with power, Jim. This is different here. So the 4 doubles, 2 triples, the home run yesterday, albeit I get wind aided. I get it. But we're talking 7 extra base hits already for Adam Frazier. Anything to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, you'd like to see it. I think Frazier's a little bit more intriguing than Newman in that, he has shown a little bit more consistency, right? I mean, Adam Frazier, his first 4 years in the majors, hit either above average or like right at average all 4 years. So he's a decent hitter. And like I said, when he's on, he can be an above average hitter. I mean, in 2018, he had a 118 OPS plus. So he's someone who I think has shown it a little bit more consistently than Newman. So again, these numbers are great to see. I'm not expecting anybody to hit 500, right? but
Sure.
but Frazier's numbers are a little bit. I like to see that because last year was a struggle for him. That was really the first time he really struggled for in his career when it came to hitting.
Yeah.
That was his worst year. So I mean, yeah, hopefully he has a nice bounce back year. He can go back to being that average to above average hitting second baseman, and that could be an interesting option for other teams. If they're looking for somebody to add at the deadline, you add somebody who's an everyday second baseman who can hit, then you're talking about an interesting piece.
Sure. And I guess so. I guess to correct one thing, Kevin Newman didn't play yesterday, so his numbers do stay the same, albeit the numbers weren't updated. Yeah. So Adam Frazier is batting 586 on the year, not 556 anymore. I guess so. Let me take this a little differently, and this is coming from one of the biggest Adam Frazier supporters out there, North Shore 9. So, like, to me, Adam Frazier has actually been more inconsistent. And the reason I say that is, like, I guess consistency for the seasons year over year. When you look at his weighted run created plus, his first full season, 97, 116, 97, and of course 80 last year, which was terrible, right? Throw it out the window. But I feel like during in season is like where the consistency is inconsistencies are. It'll be like he'll have a great 2-month stretch where he's just hitting the ball well, hitting it everywhere, and then he looks terrible and lost for a bit. And that's why I look at this as maybe he's going to head into the season pretty hot. Right now he looks like he's seeing the ball very well. Maybe this is the start of his streak where he's like really hot. He's going to have a really good April, maybe a really good May. And then that's the time for the Pirates to capitalize, to go ahead and trade him. Like, it couldn't work out perfect. Like, I'm with you too. Last year was terrible. I mean, the meme has always said it. He can hit. That's been like his tool. The defense was never really there, albeit it came, and he's like a Gold Glove guy now, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the defense came now. He's never been a guy for power. I look at the spring power numbers as just spring power numbers as well. I don't think anything's going to change with his game. He's probably going to go in there being just like he normally is. A decently high average, decent, on base skills, and that. I just kind of look at this again, like maybe he's coming in rejuvenated after that bad season. He's seen the ball well, he's hitting the ball well, and hopefully for like these first 2 months, he will produce very well enough to like gain some actual trade value, and the Pirates get something for him. But I guess, like, to me, just to kind of go on this tangent even further, like, to me, he kind of is just what he is. Like, I know what Adam Frazier is for the most part. If he does it for a full season, that'll be great. And he can, hit. But in the same sense, like, I'm not looking for Adam Frazier to go into this season and have like an 808 runs created plus again. But I'm probably not looking for like to have a 120 or, anything better. Where Kevin Newman, it's like,
Yeah.
What? Maybe the book's still out on him. Maybe if he come into this season and produce a little bit closer to his rookie year, maybe he can be a decent hitter at least. decent
Yeah,
slap
no,
hitter.
that's fair. I think Kevin Newman can be a guy who is right around an average hitter thanks to his ability to make contact. Essentially, I don't know. I think Frazier has like a. I mean, we saw it. I mean, like I said, 116 weighted runs created plus in 2018. I think he can tap into that. I mean, I think he could potentially be that guy. So yeah, I mean, I think this is his last year as a Pirate, right? I think most of us
Uh,
probably agree there.
that's a very fair assumption. Yeah.
So again, it's nice to see that he's hot right now, and if he can continue that into the season and keep it up, and next thing you know, it's June, July, and he's sitting there with some pretty decent numbers. That would be ideal for the Pirates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And I guess again, like the other one just stands out. Eric Gonzalez is having a pretty decent season. So let's go there. I mean, we know Kevin Newman and Adam Frazier are making the club, right? Eric Gonzalez, he's probably a lock to make the club as well at this point. Fair?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
And just to go down that list too, as we're talking about, I mean, obviously Newman and Frazier making the club, Gonzalez is making the club. I mean, is Cole Tucker going to be in AAA?
I just don't see a spot for him here.
I don't either.
I don't know if you can carry another backup middle infielder, so I mean, right now I would say no.
Yeah,
barring some kind of injury.
Even the fact that he can, air quotes, play outfield, like he did it last year and such.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this club isn't good. It's not where there's so much talent on this team that he can't crack it. I mean, part of it is just like there's not much talent showing from him to crack it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But also on top of that too is this, like, you got guys that you still want to see, in play.
Right.
Like you're not going to not have Alford and Goodwin or whatever in the outfield for Cole Tucker at this point in time, or Fowler. Like, I want to see those guys. And the fact that,
Mm-hmm.
Cole Tucker does have options. I think, you are going to utilize those. Moran, obviously a lock. Brian Hayes, obviously a lock. Todd Frazier, got to make a decision on him. Is he making this club?
I think he is, just as that backup. I think they're going to do a platoon at first, is just kind of what's going to happen there. So yeah, I think he makes it.
I do too. With him, I don't think he's really battling too many people. Like, I feel like it's almost a lock. It doesn't even matter like what the spring does.
Yeah, because I don't think it's coming down to where it's like Todd Frazier or Phillip Evans.
Craig.
I mean, maybe. So Evans is the one that intrigues me. Like, he may be that last guy, or he may be the first guy out. I'll have to look at kind of just construction of a roster,
Mm-hmm.
Because Evans is someone who can play multiple positions, so that's nice to see. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see him make the club just because of how well he played in his limited time in 2020, right? So, like, I don't know, is that legit? I don't know. But he can play really all over the field. He can play right field, he can play left field, he can play third, second, first, so he's a versatile guy. I think he could be somewhat useful.
True. Yeah, and I just kind of look at this too. Like, I mean, that's all true, and that'll get you a spot on a club, But at the same time, I feel like the Pirates are going to play a lot of the options games, and he's one of them. Like, Phillip Evans has an option. They're going to utilize it. I would much rather, I feel like this team would be better off with Todd Frazier on it than Phillip Evans. Not trying to have some Phillip Evans slander right now, because in those 11 games he had last year, they were fantastic. But if we're going to say we're talking about spring in this short sample, then you have to say it over 2020 numbers. And those 2020 numbers are even more shortened because it was just 11 games for him. So, yeah, like, those 11 games were, of course, super fun when there was a team that was terrible and Phillip Evans was exciting. But I don't know if I truly believe, like, Phillip Evans is this great player. So, to me, he has the options. Put him down there. Todd Frazier is a veteran. He's going to help some guys out in this club. And honestly, like I would, if I'm going to bet money, I'm going to bet money that Todd Frazier has a better season than Phillip Evans.
Yeah,
regardless.
I would agree. Yeah.
So, even if his Todd Frazier spring numbers right now isn't perfect, he's still a solid player. He's on. If he's going to do the platoon, like you mentioned, he's going to be on the right side of his platoon side. So I can see him producing well enough, to be on the club in that role, and again have that veteran presence because this club doesn't have too many. Like we joke, like Kevin Stallings really is like the vet, and
yeah.
Well,
if you're going by age, yeah. I mean, I guess you could say like Frazier, Polanco. They've got a decent amount of service time compared to the rest of the offense.
But, true, but do you also want Polanco being that guy?
Right. I think Phillip Evans. Like if it does come down to Frazier or Evans, right? Then it's going to be Frazier. I just don't know if I don't know if that's the battle though. Like, I don't know. I feel like Evans could squeeze in as like a fourth outfielder, like a fourth or fifth outfield option.
So that's intriguing. So let's get to that, I guess. And because also the catcher thing to me is pretty much locked up. I feel like it's probably going to be, obviously Stallings, Walters, right?
Well, then again, Perez is actually on the 40-man. Right, so
my bad.
Is Perez the guy? Actually, just because of that, and then Walters isn't because he's on a minor league deal. I don't know. So, because I think Walters would have to be added to the 40-man. So it's going to come down to just like what's available there.
There's no depth either at catcher. Yeah, that's very true. I bet you that happens. It's going to be Perez and stash Walters for the time being, at least.
Yeah, and I don't know if Walters' contract has like an opt-out or what, but I mean, if he's not good enough to be the backup catcher on the Pirates, he's probably struggling to find a job, regardless. But no, I think, I think that's one where. Is this going to come down to roster construction? Do they DFA a reliever so that they can add Tony Walters? I don't know.
Right. Well, and that's what I say. So let's get to the outfield then, because you mentioned maybe a fourth outfielder. So we know obviously Polanco is making it. We know Reynolds is making it. Just last week, we're talking about 2 weeks into it. Anthony Alford is going to be a lock, right? They have Brian Goodwin on the team who they signed. They also have Fowler, who they picked up, who Fowler, I believe, is I just lost it. How many options does he have options left? Where are you at, Fowler?
Let's see. Fowler, because he was traded for, right? Like that was a cash for Fowler deal, right?
Yes.
He has no options.
Okay. So, and that's what I thought. So like when it comes to the outfield, right? And you talked about Evans possibly is that fourth outfielder. I feel like that puts him in a tight spot too, because Fowler, I think like Fowler and Goodwin are probably going to make the club because of the options game and just the deals, obviously. But then like Anthony Alford is going to make the club too because of that. Like, I don't know. I don't think like Phillip Evans makes this club because of that too. Because even though like they were talking about these three people, Alford, Goodwin, and Fowler, they are not really good players. Like I get like this isn't like, Phillip Evans can't make the team because we have some really, really good players ahead of him. It's just the game that we're playing. Like we're in this rebuild. Is Phillip Evans really the future? I doubt it. But could Anthony Alford potentially have something there? Could Fowler potentially have something there? Like those are the guys I'd rather see get that. If Evans has the options, keep him down there. Like to me, I feel like Goodwin and Fowler might really make this team right now.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at it that way, like I don't think they're DFAing Fowler. They're not DFAing Goodwin is a lock for this team,
right?
And he was actually their only major league deal, wasn't he? That's so. Yeah, so Goodwin's going to make the club.
Besides Cahill now.
Cahill, right? Yeah, so looking at it that way, Evans probably gets squeezed out.
Yeah,
Evans is probably like that 27th guy. Now that we're looking at it,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's probably what it is. And again, like it's no big knock on. Well, it kind of is. I mean, it kind of really is a knock on Evans because this is a terrible team, with some guys that are pretty bad. So I get it, but when it's not as if he's any worse off than a lot of these players. I'll put it that way. It just comes down to the options game and like really what you're looking forward probably to the future and such. I think we know the locks on the starting pitching. Obviously, I think a lot comes down to Stephen Brault if he's healthy, but we know it's Keller. We know it's Cole. Cahill has been told. Well, I'm going to say told, but Shelton pretty much has said that they expect Cahill to make the opening day roster, and we know he's going to be a starter. There's Tyler Anderson. So I guess let's get to the bullpen side of this because I think this has been like the most, besides the numbers of like Brian Hayes and Kevin Newman and Adam Frazier, like I feel like the unit of the bullpen has been the most intriguing thing this season. I'm not going to go out and say it's the Pirates' strength right now. I feel like maybe that the bullpen is maybe the Pirates' best situation they got going on, if you may. But it like this unit, a lot of the guys that there's a real battle going on here. Who's going to make this club in the bullpen? Because there has been some really good performances so far. And again, like some intriguing arms and names in this unit. So who the hell's making this bullpen this year?
I think it all comes down to, do they want some of these guys to be starting pitchers in AAA or do they throw some of these people in the bullpen? Like does Will Crow make the bullpen? Does Chase DeJong make the bullpen? I would say right now, Will Crow is on this team. It's hard to
see. I almost feel the opposite.
I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't know what their strategy is going to be. Like, are they gonna just go out there and are they going to utilize 6-man rotations? Are they going to utilize long men a lot in the bullpen to eat some innings? I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. I do like the Trevor Cahill signing because he's at least going to be because he's just another arm. Like he's an arm who can eat away innings, and that is a valuable tool. That's a valuable thing on this team because that's what they need.
Right.
So you even look at the rotation. I get Brault being injured actually kind of opens up a spot because who knows what's going on there. So he's clearly probably not going to be ready by opening day. He hasn't pitched in a while. So you think of what a rotation looks like. Does Mitch Keller make this team? Because he hasn't looked great. That's all of a sudden like a question mark. Because out of everybody out there, Mitch Keller's looked the worst. Like,
that's a fair point.
Do you send Mitch Keller to the minors? I don't know. But
don't give Nutting any like. Yeah. He's listening to this podcast right now. He's like, wait a minute, Ben, we can do that.
Right.
How many more years do you get?
But like, right. Yeah. But I think like the bullpen it's got some interesting people. It's got some people who are performing well in spring training. It's got some people who I think could actually be decent. Like David Bednar has just been getting rave reviews from everybody.
He's been lights out. I mean, he's been the most incredible looking pitcher right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's striking out 2 batters per inning. He's given up 2 hits in spring. He's walked 1 batter. So like David Bednar's got to be on the team.
And the eye test also, like his stuff just looks filthy.
Yeah. So like David Bednar needs to be on the team somehow. Right. So there's a spot. Jeff Hartlieb's going to be on the team. He's gotten more experience than those guys, battling for spots. Kyle Crick's going to be on the team, right? Michael Feliz, I believe, is out of options.
Yes,
right?
he is.
So Michael Feliz is going to be on the team.
Rich Rodriguez going to be on the team.
Rich Rodriguez is going to be on the team.
So
Chris
we're at
Stratton's
5
going to be on the team.
Stratton makes 6.
So you have what, 2 more spots?
So
if you're rolling with a 13-man bullpen or 13-man staff,
right?
So we just named 5 people. Sam Howard's on the team.
Okay, so you're getting into is Will Crowe on this team now? Because think about this too. There also was a trade
6
for Dwayne Underwood.
Yeah, which maybe that takes Howard's spot, but like I don't know how you can look at Howard and be like,
how's he not?
I feel like Sam
after
Howard,
last year and then this spring.
Yeah, I feel like after what Howard did last year, like he deserves a spot on the team. Like, I'm sorry, he does.
Right,
and he's not pitching poorly right now, so I think he deserves a spot. And yeah, do you put Underwood in there as that other,
like a long man?
Yeah.
And that's how they said that they would use him. Like, he's not going to start, but they're intrigued the fact that he can go more than 1 inning, which is also, as we all know, like for this upcoming season, is going to be very valuable, right? Guys can go multiple innings, and just any type of innings you can get out of anybody right now. But like, I think never more.
I could see a lot of like phantom DL stints in the next week. Like the old Neil Huntington, where
could be true.
Be like, hey, you have a sore elbow.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say
on the IL.
Clay Holmes, another guy.
Yeah, I mean, Clay Holmes is on a minor league deal, so I think he's pitched great this spring. He hasn't actually pitched great. The ERA is nice, but he's walked 3, given 5. I mean, it kind of depends on how you look at it. I don't think Clay Holmes makes the team.
Okay,
but if you look at those 6, we named 7 people in the bullpen already who are probably locks. So we're talking about 1 spot. We're talking about 1 spot for Underwood, DeJong, Crowe, Mears. Although was Mears reassigned yet? Probably. I don't know.
I mean, Edgar Santana was.
Yeah, I mean, Poppins in there too as another guy.
Right.
So yeah,
So again, just to pivot back here, right? Just to go to the Will Crowe situation, like I feel this is probably the guy who's getting squeezed out.
Also, Brubaker, by the way. Like, does Brubaker make the staff to make the rotation?
Yeah, we didn't say Brubaker because he listed like he's more as a starter, but he's going to be in the bullpen. I feel, of course, unless Brault is injured, then he moves up to the rotation.
I feel like at this point, Brault hasn't thrown in at least a week.
Yeah,
he's not.
I'm with you.
He's not going to make the opening day roster.
He's going to open up on the IL, and that's where Brubaker slides into the rotation. So still, like yes, you're right, but the start of the season he'll be as a starter, so we don't have to really look into him right here. But
is Brubaker the guy that slides in, right? Or
I see what you're saying.
Is it Crowe? Is it DeJong? I mean, these guys have been performing very well.
That's interesting. I guess
yeah.
I've more or less just assumed it's Brubaker.
And again, is Keller in the rotation?
See, I feel like you just have to. It's all. I mean, everything you said is fair.
Yeah,
It's reason. Like, there's valid reasons for everything you said. I don't think right now he's like, oh my god, Jim's an idiot. I mean, it's true. and honestly, like if he was on the Yankees, right? If this wasn't the 2021 Pirates, this is the Yankees. He's not making this club. Probably he's in the minors for reasons. I think because he's on the Pirates and just because. I mean, like the situation, like I just feel like he has to, in the sense. I mean, there is no true minors for the next month, so it's just he's in camp. You just throw him out there to me. Just throw him out there, even though he hasn't earned it in spring, and all these other guys are earning it in a sense. To me, I just feel like he's making this club like almost regardless, unless he's injured.
And I agree with you. Like I don't see I don't see them optioning Mitch Keller,
Mhm.
but again, that could be something that they do because
To fit everyone
it
in.
would like they could literally just say, "Hey, he just hasn't looked good." Like, and
He's
there are
got to work
guys who
on
have
things,
out
Jim.
there are guys who have looked better, right? I mean, he's given up 22 hits in 8 1/3 innings.
Right.
He has not looked good.
And like I even tweeted out
Mhm.
his last start that this Mitch Keller looks completely different from last start, which was true at the time of the tweet, which is after the first inning where he actually looked good, and
Yeah.
it reverted back to like what we were seeing from the previous
Mhm.
Mitch Keller start in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't last too long.
No, it didn't. So that I think that is the most interesting piece of this team is what is this pitching staff going to look like? What's the rotation going to look like? Do they go 6 guys deep in the rotation? Do they, do they utilize piggybacking a lot where they've got 2 guys going 3 to 4 innings, right?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not really quite sure. Like I said, I think they're going to have to do something to limit people's innings. So maybe having, a lot of these guys who can start and can throw multiple innings, that may be what they go towards.
Mm-hmm. I
Oh,
can't. This is going to be the most intriguing thing. Yeah, like in a week from now,
mhm.
there's going to be a lot of tough decisions this team has to make on this bullpen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So,
um,
yeah, 'cause, I mean, based off of what we're looking at now, there's not a lot of open spots because I think those guys we mentioned are all on the team.
fair. Yeah. All right. So we'll just do this real quick because I don't think we need to spend so much time on it. But the Pirates did sign Steve Wright to a minor league deal. I mean, this isn't like, oh my god, we got right, we're gonna be, this is great. Like I'm not looking this as like even like to the degrees of
Mhm.
Cahill, where like he could have a season that's pretty decent and he like becomes trade value. Not so much in this one. I look at this more depth. I mean,
Mhm.
every team, to me, this is the quintessential, like every team needs arms. So the Pirates got another arm, which is good. But what I will say to this arm is a bit different, Jim. This arm throws a knuckleball. To me, this is what's kind of cool and exciting about this. I'm not looking for, this
Mhm.
sign to like, okay, maybe he can pitch well and we can flip him and get something. I'm just looking like, okay, in July, we're probably going to need some more arms. Maybe some trades happen. Maybe there's some injuries. And now we got this knuckleball pitcher. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to see a knuckleball again in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, no, I mean knuckleballs are always fun. It's something that you don't see often. So when you do, and you see a good one, it's crazy. It doesn't. I don't understand it how it makes sense from a physics standpoint, but they're fun. Yeah, it's always fun to watch knuckleballers. The other thing too with knuckleballers is they can basically pitch and their arms never going to fall off. So another guy who can throw some innings.
Right. Like he's the perfect
Yeah,
2021 pitcher. Like it's
yeah.
exactly what you're saying. You don't even really have to ever worry about him getting injured. Just go out there and throw. And even if you are
Mhm.
injured, like you could probably throw a knuckleball with a torn UCL.
Right.
Like who
Yeah. I mean,
cares
you
if it's
got
torn? Just keep pitching.
right, right. So, yeah, no, it should be fun. I don't know. I mean, I guess he hasn't even pitched yet, so I don't know if he makes the club, but he's going to be a depth guy that they will surely need at some point this year.
Right. Fully agree. Okay. So I guess we're done with Pirates talk. Let's pivot this. We'll pivot a little bit to the Pirates. But so go to the Royals. And of course, the similarities are they are a small market team. But they worked with Windows better than the Pirates. But the Royals just extended Sal Perez to a 4-year, what was it? 4 years, $82 million. Correct, Jim? Was that
That is correct.
It's on the
4 years,
ticker here.
82. Yeah.
Hasn't gotten to him yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was 482. All right. So there was a little discussion, behind the scenes about this. It was more you and Ryan than anything. Ryan apparently Ryan doesn't want to talk about baseball anymore, but boy, was he fired up about this one. So I felt it'd be good that because you can, you as well, like transition it to Pirates. So if the Royals, I'll tell you what, I want to steal your thunder. Tell us a little about your thoughts on this.
I mean, my thoughts are you've got a guy who has clearly been a staple for your franchise for the better half of a decade now. Made his debut in 2011. You saw success with him. He's a multiple-time All-Star. He's a good defensive catcher. He's a Royal, and there's not a lot of people out there who are like,
we Royals.
But there's not a lot of people out there where if you go, okay, name some players on the Royals, Salvador Perez is one of those people that pops up in your mind. He's been a Royal his whole life. It's just kind of been who he is, and he's one of the better catchers in baseball. Analytics, I feel like are just a little they're inconsistent on him. When I actually saw the deal and then I pulled up his Fangraphs page, I was a little surprised to actually see the WAR numbers on there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially being a catcher and being a catcher who can hit, actually, right? I mean, he's got power, out of the catcher position, which you don't really see very much. But I mean, he's 30 years old. It's not like this guy's super old. I think that there used to be this thought, and remember catchers, their longevity issues with catchers, but really that is shown to just be a myth. I mean, you see catchers out there all the time who are 37, 38, 39 years old, going out there and catching. So I'm not quite sure if I buy the catcher longevity myth anymore. So, I mean, you're looking at someone who, if he continues playing, could be one of he's one of the best players in Royals recent history. And yeah, pay the guy. The Royals are a young team right now. Their whole roster, if you look at it, it's constructed with pre-arbitration guys. So this deal isn't hampering them by any means. Like, I don't know what this puts their payroll at, but the Royals payroll this year
it's like 86. But this doesn't go into effect till next year either.
But he's also his deal this year, I think he's making over $10 million right now. So this goes up by 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my thing is, if the Royals can sign one of their franchise players for a 4-year, $82 million deal, then so can the Pirates. So this kind of just goes back to just my absolute hatred for the Andrew McCutchen deal. This is a deal where, like, if the Pirates went to Cutch and was like, hey, 4 years, $82 million, he probably would have taken it. And that would be fine. So, and we'd be looking at a team right now with a $60 million payroll. Well, we wouldn't be talking about Brian Goodwin or Dustin Fowler if they make this team or not.
Well, I was gonna say, actually, we probably wouldn't, because at this point we probably would have traded Kutch again anyways.
Right.
I mean, seeing what this team is, sure, we would have given that extension, not trade him for Crick at that point in time, or Reynolds. But at this point, we wouldn't have Crick or Reynolds. We'd have Kutch, and would still be in the same situation. We would probably have traded him by now. So
Perez is making $13 million this year. That's his base salary.
Yes. I guess so. Like, I kind of get your point here, but to me, I still have a hard time. Like, I get roster construction and just like the value of players, and if you are so can teams spend more? We spent a lot of time last year and this year too talking about the cheap owners and such, and I fully get, like, yes, teams can spend more. Teams have proven it, right? But at the same time, like two things can be true. Like teams can spend more, but also the whole thing about people like want to say like, well, the small market team is a myth. There's no such thing as a small market team. Like, no, that does still also apply. And it's kind of like what I was trying to emphasize on a Denar's Dugout, a few months ago too. It's like if all the small markets like revolted, right, and they're all like, screw the profits, we're all going in, we're all spending money. The Yankees and Dodgers aren't going to let that happen. Clearly, they're not going to say, well, fine, we're good with second place now. They're just going to also spend more. Don't just let me finish. This isn't me just saying like this can't happen. Like there is a small market team. There's reasons. So the thing about this with the Royals, them investing $20 million a year into a 32, 33, 34, 35-year-old catcher. Is that smart value? Like I get what you're saying. Like there's the sentimental, there's the catch thing, just do it. But if they are going to do that, that tells me that they better go ahead and spend money in these next 4 years in this next window, right? Because if they let that hinder them, then what was the point of this? So when they won the World Series, they did max out about $150 million payroll. Okay. $20 million being invested into an aging catcher who, see, and this will say too, like he can hit, like the power's there, but that's it. Like he has power. He doesn't really have great on base, doesn't have great average. Like he hits for decent power, and since 2013, he's only been like above average barely once, and then last year in the shortened season, like incredible offseason or offensive season. Like he hasn't really been the same guy either since like those playoff years for the Royals. So if you're going into this next window, is it really with this aging Sal Perez at $20 million just because he's Sal Perez and just because he's a Royal? I mean, doesn't winning solve everything? Wouldn't I rather use that $20 million and reallocate it into possibly a Benintendi extension? Like, there's the thing about the Royals too is you want to look at this rebuild. It's funny that the Pirates have a better farm than the Royals, I feel like, at this point in time. And if you look at MLB, they've rated the Pirates better. And so this rebuild's just now starting to come up, and it's like the player, like the Benintendis, like the guys that are on this club, they only have like about the Whitfields, like they only have about 2 or 3 years with those guys. So are they going to plan on extending them as well? Like, what are the Royals doing in the next 2 to 3 years with this extension they've given Perez? So, like, to me, that's where it comes into the Kutch thing as well, in a sense. Like, just because you have the sentimental value, is it smart for this team to go ahead and do that?
It is.
That's where I do like
too,
I
look
get
at
your
the
point,
roster
but I
too,
also side
right?
on like the Ryan side of this, and that's kind of my point of view too. Like, do you really want to go ahead and invest that $20 million into this 31-year-old catcher who's just kind of been like there?
So here's the thing: is we could argue all day if Salvador Perez is worth $20 million a year. I think we could certainly argue that. I'm not sure if he is, to be honest with you. My point, really, more to all of this is just if the Royals can do it, so can the Pirates. That's really what I'm saying. It's and it's not necessarily like this isn't going to be a hindrance to the Royals. Like first off, they're losing a bad salary next year. Danny Duffy, $15.5 million is going to drop off the books. So there's $15.5 million right there. You still have, but Whit Merrifield, Jorge Soler still have one more year of arbitration. Benintendi still has one more year of arbitration. What they also have, is these young pitchers who are under team control and don't make a lot of money, right? So, yeah, do you maybe want that veteran presence catcher to catch this young pitching staff that's coming up too, right? The Royals pitching staff, looks like it could be pretty good for a while now with these young guys that are coming up or they're on the cusp of the majors. So Perez deserves some value there as well. And again, I get that you shouldn't make decisions solely based on like fan bases, right? But there is value. There is value to having your fan base like you. Like that is a valuable asset for a team, right? Like we saw it yesterday. The Pirates tweeted out a video of Ronci Contreras and said, he's nasty. And every single comment on that video was, yeah, I can't wait till he's traded to the Yankees, by idiots who don't know that the Yankees just traded him to the Pirates like 2 months ago, right? But that's what we're looking at right now as a franchise is you have, and most fans of sports franchises aren't like me and you, Donardo. They don't have podcasts who talk about the team for hours and hours a week. They watch them every once in a while. They're casual fans.
What you're
right?
saying is they're the smart ones.
Yeah, they're casual fans. So there's value in having casual fans who like don't hate you and don't think that you're just crooks and you're stealing
go
money
out there
from
and wear
them,
their
right?
Clutch jersey that they bought 5 years ago.
Yes, exactly. So I said, I get it. You don't make decisions based on a fan base, right? But at the same time, I think it's important and it's valuable to show your fan base every once in a while that like you actually care about them. So, and that's the thing with the Pirates. The Pirates have shown over really our entire lifetimes that don't get attached to anybody, because guess what? Once they get expensive, they're gone. Like that is so ingrained in our minds as Pirates fans that the possibility of there being like a Pirate for life doesn't even exist.
Right.
Doesn't even exist. Right. If you want to be a Ke'Bryan Hayes fan, get your Ke'Bryan Hayes jerseys now so you can wear them for the next 5 to 6 years, because after that you're not going to be able to. Right. Don't buy a jersey of somebody who's in his first or second year of arbitration, because that thing's not going to be worth anything in a couple of years, because he's going to be on the Red Sox or the Yankees. Right. So there's, like I said, there's value in having Royals for life, right? Alex Gordon, like the fact that Alex Gordon, how many years has Alex Gordon been a Royal?
And we talked about that. Like that blew my mind how long it was, but it was like 13 years or something.
Yeah. So like Alex Gordon, 37 years old. And I don't know if he
service time
retired
12,
or what,
12 years.
but
yeah, he did. He retired this year.
Yeah. So like Alex Gordon played his entire career for the Kansas City Royals from 2007 to 2020. When he didn't have to, the Royals could have traded him in 2012 and gotten somebody in return, right? But guess what? They kept him, and they ended up actually winning a World Series with him. So again, it's a different. I get the mind. I think that's just the thing. Like as Pirates fans, we have it just ingrained in our minds that we can't keep anybody, so we might as well just trade them and get value. Like that's what we think, right? Whereas you don't always have to do that. Like you can get value in other ways, because guess what's going to happen? Donardo? The value that you get for that player, you're just going to trade him in a few years anyways. When the Pirates traded Brian Giles for Jason Bay and Oliver Perez, guess what the Pirates did a few years later? They traded Oliver Perez and Jason Bay. So like it's just this endless cycle. At some point, can we just stop it and have a Pirates star for life? Like that would just be cool. I'm sorry. Like it would be cool.
I mean, we could go off this for forever, and we're not going to. But like, I get what you're saying, and I just feel like the thing is, it's more of a baseball problem than a Pirates problem. And there's problems with the Pirates. Like don't get me wrong. There's problems with the Pirates.
It is a Pirates problem for sure. Again, but it's also a problem for other teams.
There really is a small market, large market thing. Like that is real. It exists.
It's real. Yeah.
So if say they get, and this, I don't even want to go down this rabbit hole to be 30 more minutes, but just to say my quick piece here on it, like had they not made that trade for Kutch, the problem was it wasn't early enough. The problem was it was too late. Had they not made, but still, even with it being too late, had they not made that trade with Kutch, they'd still have Kutch. There's no Reynolds. There's more Crick. They're not winning now. When are they close to winning again? In situations like that, like think about this.
But
And I know your argument, like you said, like they never would have developed them. Like just take it out of places, put everything in a vacuum. Like had they traded him a year early, like what if this club is looking at a Giolito on it now, right? It's been for the past 2 years,
and he's traded after this year.
Okay, then we. Okay.
I mean that's what it would happen. Like Giolito would be an arbitration guy soon. He'd be making way too much money, and then they would trade him.
All right. I mean,
I said at some point, just if you have a superstar that people love, like just keep him around. Like that's it. We heard Michael McHenry talk about it the other day. Like these owners need to figure out how to keep these superstars, and they don't really need to figure it out. They know how to do it. These guys sign them for long-term deals. Like if Brian Hayes is going to be the guy where, and I'm not necessarily in favor of a Brian Hayes extension, maybe like right away. Like let's maybe wait a year, before we do that. But I don't know. There's just no reason in my mind, and this team would be no different. Actually, the team may even potentially be better. Who knows? Because it opens. I mean, you never know. But Andrew McCutchen is just as good of a player as Brian Reynolds right now, if not better. Just because of his on base percentage, he's still he's still a really good on base guy. So does the team really change there? No, but you have Andrew McCutchen out in the outfield that people love, and they wear his jersey around town, and they don't hate your team for trading him.
Yeah.
Again, we're not talking about we're not talking about the fans who understand the decision, right? Because, I can see it that way, right? From a business standpoint, the trade made sense. We're talking about the casual fans, like the fans who fill the ballpark, right? Most fans who fill the ballpark aren't us, right? They're people who want to go and watch a baseball game and have a good time. Those fans would rather see Andrew McCutchen out there than Brian Reynolds. Just a fact. Especially if you'd be looking at Andrew McCutchen in his 12th year with the Pirates right now.
True. Yeah, I this is more. I know you wanted to say your piece on that.
We can talk about this forever.
I can, we could definitely go back and forth on this forever. To me, and maybe it is just that. Like I don't know. Maybe it more is the fact that just me growing up watching the Pirates and having more of an understanding of that path. And like you said, just being ingrained and feeling like that's the way. Maybe that's part of it. To me though, ultimately it's about winning. And if it makes more sense to win without a Sal Perez and allocate those dollars somewhere else into a younger, maybe a Benintendi and get younger and get better, I would rather see that. Like, sorry, Sal, I appreciate your time. It was great. You were a fantastic Royal, but I want to win again. But at the same sense, then you get to the Tampa Bay Rays model. And it's like, that's like the other extreme of it. Like they're the super, super extreme of that. And at the same sense, that's also not good because at least the Pirates, you can wear the jersey for 4 years. With the Rays, you barely get 1.5. So, right. Like the extreme of that is the Royals. And that I don't want even having that ingrained in my head as a Pirate fan, as you mentioned, right? With that, the way of working. So I can understand your point of view. I think, right. It just goes down to, I guess, got to find a way to do both. Keep an Andrew McCutchen while also creating a team around him for a while. I think that's where you struggle with the small market aspect. So I don't know. I can't get creative enough to really fix that problem, I guess, other than just having more money. And I don't know that's ever going to happen. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll end it there.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. We'll be back tomorrow, North Shore 9, NS9 Live. We'll do our over and unders for the NL. And we'll see y'all then. Bye-bye.
Later.